You've been doing this for decades without a single warning. But after 65, something many men don't realize is that masturbation, something once familiar and comfortable, can quietly sap your energy, weaken your erections, and affect your health in ways that often go unnoticed. This isn't about fear, it's a medical reality I've witnessed time and again in my practice. I'm Dr. James, a men's health specialist with over 30 years devoted to helping older men regain their strength, vitality, and confidence. Today, I want to share something important with you, something that might change the way you understand your body forever. Most men assume masturbation is always safe, even helpful. But what if that's not the case once you reach a certain age? What if the way you've been doing it all these years is quietly causing harm? Not because the act itself is wrong, but because your body has changed, and no one ever showed you how to adjust. In this video, I'll reveal the common mistakes silently affecting men over 65, and I'll show you how small, simple changes can reignite your energy, rebuild your sexual health, and restore your confidence. But first, let me ask, have you noticed it just doesn't feel the same anymore? If you're a man over 60 wanting to stay sharp, strong, and in control of your health, be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you never miss a video made just for you. And if this topic speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. I want to keep improving and giving you exactly what you need. Now, let's talk about the first mistake I see way too often, using too much pressure or force during masturbation. It may seem harmless, or even necessary, but after 65, this habit can quietly do more harm than you realize. Let me explain. Mistake 1: applying too much pressure or being too aggressive. Many older men have sat with me, nervously laughing, saying, "Doc, I've been doing it this way for 40 years. Why change now?" And I understand. Old habits bring comfort, especially when they've served you for decades. But here's the truth I share gently but clearly: the grip and pace you used in your younger years may be the very reason you're feeling numb, frustrated, or disconnected now. When you were in your 20s or 30s, your nerve endings were sharp, your circulation strong, and your body could handle a rougher style. But after 65, things change. The tissues around the penis become more delicate. Blood flow isn't what it used to be. Nerve sensitivity naturally declines. What your body once bounced back from now takes a toll. Using too much pressure, especially quickly or aggressively, can slowly dull those nerves. What started as a way to reach climax faster can gradually steal your sensation. Many men notice it takes longer to feel anything, or erections aren't as strong, without realizing years of overstimulation quietly wore their system down. I call this silent conditioning. It happens so gradually, you barely notice. Then one day, pleasure feels dull. Orgasm becomes mechanical. Even with a partner, it can be hard to feel truly aroused without repeating the same pressure and intensity, which doesn't always translate well to real intimacy. This isn't about shame, it's about awareness. Your body isn't failing you. It's asking you to listen and adapt. A lighter touch, a slower pace, and a more mindful approach can bring back sensitivity. I've had men in their 70s tell me they hadn't felt this alive in years, just by learning to reconnect with themselves more gently. It might sound small, but shifting from friction to feeling can be a powerful change. This isn't about giving something up. It's about reclaiming something precious: depth, presence, even joy. Now that you understand the physical cost of too much pressure, let me ask you this: have you ever caught yourself stuck in the same mental routine every time? Playing the same fantasy, the same scene on repeat? If so, what's happening in your mind could be just as quietly wearing you down as what's happening with your body. Let's explore that next. If you're still with me and this resonates, type 1 in the comments to let me know you're following along. I truly appreciate you staying here. Now, let's dive into the next point. Mistake 2: getting caught in the same fantasy loop every time. I once spoke with a man named Richard. He's 68, widowed, quiet but honest. He told me, "Doc, I've been using the same fantasy for years. It just works." With a small, knowing smile, he added, I know how to get there fast, and I don't want to waste time trying something new. I understood him. When you find something that brings relief, it's hard to let it go. But here's the catch: the same story, the same image, the same mental pathway, over and over, can slowly dull your brain's natural pleasure response. You see, the brain craves novelty. That's how we're wired. Every new sight, smell, or experience sends a rush of dopamine flowing, the chemical behind desire, motivation, and sexual excitement. But when you feed your brain the same thing day after day, it starts to tune out. The dopamine hit shrinks. Pleasure fades. Without even realizing it, you might find yourself needing stronger, more intense thoughts or scenarios just to feel what you once did from something simple. This can spiral into a tough cycle. Not just boredom, but a kind of emotional disconnect from your own body. What once felt intimate becomes routine and mechanical. Many men tell me they feel detached, like they're just going through the motions to reach the finish line instead of truly enjoying the moment. Sometimes, this even makes it harder to feel aroused with a real partner, because the brain has become too hooked on a narrow, fixed mental script that doesn't match real life. When I shared this with Richard, he paused, quiet for a moment. "I never thought of it that way," he said softly. "But it makes sense. Lately, even when I climax, I don't really feel much." Here's the thing: it's not about giving up fantasy altogether. It's about opening it up, letting your mind explore new, healthier paths. Sometimes that means imagining different situations. Other times, it means tuning into sensations, feelings, and being present instead of relying on the same old mental picture. The brain is incredibly flexible. Even at 65, 75, or 85, with intention and practice, you can rekindle that spark, feel more alive, and experience a deeper kind of pleasure. But if your mind plays such a big role, what about your emotions? What if the real reason you reach for release isn't desire, but something heavier, something deeper? Let's talk about that next, because it's more common than you might think. Mistake 3: masturbating out of anxiety, loneliness, or simply habit. Not long ago, a man named Paul came into my office. He's 73, retired, divorced, and living alone. He looked tired, not physically, but emotionally. As we talked, he shared something many men his age never say out loud. "I'm not even sure I do it because I want to anymore. Sometimes I just feel empty, and touching myself helps me forget for a minute." That moment stayed with me, because Paul is not alone. As men grow older, many carry invisible burdens: the loss of a spouse, the fading of purpose after retirement, a shrinking circle of friends, or sometimes it's just the quiet ache of being alone. And masturbation can stop being about pleasure and start feeling like an escape, a quick way to numb that restless feeling. A habit to fill the silence. But when you're doing it because of stress, sadness, or habit, not true desire, it changes how your body and mind connect with arousal. Over time, pleasure starts to feel flat. Afterward, instead of relief, you might feel guilt or even emptiness. You may notice you're doing it more often but enjoying it less, or your mood drops afterward instead of lifting. There's nothing wrong with needing comfort, we all do. But when self-pleasure becomes a way to avoid emotions or replace real connection, it can backfire. Your brain begins to link touch not with joy, but with escape. Your body learns that stimulation means loneliness or stress, not closeness or intimacy. I always tell my patients, pleasure should feel like a gift, not a way to cope. Your relationship with your body should be about care, not avoidance. When you pause, breathe, and ask yourself, am I doing this because I feel good, or because I don't want to feel something else, that's when healing begins. You'd be surprised how many men find deeper satisfaction just by being more present, more intentional, turning routine into curiosity, and treating their own touch not as a shortcut, but as a moment of true connection. But even if you're doing everything right emotionally, your body still has different needs after 65. What once felt effortless might now leave you feeling drained, foggy, or just off. So what's really happening beneath the surface, hormonally and physically? That's what we'll explore next. If you're still watching and these insights speak to you, type 1 in the comments so I know you're here and engaged. Let's keep this going with point 4. Mistake 4, ignoring the role of recovery in your hormones. There's something I wish more men understood, especially those in their late 60s and beyond. Your body doesn't bounce back like it used to, and that's not a flaw. It's just nature. Yet, many older men keep pushing like they're still 35, never stopping to realize that what's happening inside might be quietly wearing them down. I had a patient named Gerald who came in frustrated. "I feel exhausted after," he told me, not just tired, but drained in body and mind. He was masturbating every day, sometimes twice, thinking it was keeping him healthy. What he didn't realize was his body was struggling to keep up, not just sexually, but hormonally. After 65, testosterone naturally declines. That's no surprise. But what many don't know is that frequent ejaculation without enough recovery can upset your hormonal balance even more. Each climax shifts levels of dopamine, prolactin, and testosterone, key players in drive, mood, and energy. If you don't give your system time to reset, you might feel flat, unmotivated, or foggy, and wonder why. It's not that masturbation is bad, it's that too much, too often, without rest can tip the scales. And unlike when you were younger, your body can't handle that strain the same way. Your nervous system needs time to recalibrate. Your hormones need a moment to refuel. When I worked with Gerald, we didn't cut out the habit, we adjusted the rhythm to fit what his body really needed, not what he thought it should do. Within weeks, his energy improved. His sleep got deeper. He even started waking up with morning erections again, something he hadn't experienced in years. The lesson here is simple: listen to your body, not your old habits. Pay attention to how you feel afterward, not just right away, but the next day. Are you energized and focused, or do you feel scattered and worn out? That feedback is your best guide. While recovery and hormones are vital pieces of this puzzle, there's one more shift that can elevate your whole experience. It's something most men completely overlook, but it holds the power to bring back not just physical pleasure, but emotional connection. Let's talk about that next. Mistake 5, treating your penis like it's the only source of pleasure. I remember a quiet, honest conversation with a man named Walter. He's 76, sharp as ever, but you could see the frustration weighing on him. He told me, "I touch myself, but it feels like I'm chasing something I can't catch anymore, like my body just isn't listening." As we talked, I asked him a question no one had ever asked before: when was the last time you explored pleasure beyond your penis? He looked at me like I'd just spoken a foreign language. And that's the problem so many men face, not because they've done anything wrong, but because they were never shown any different. From a young age, male pleasure is focused on one spot, one goal, one outcome. Everything else, the chest, the breath, the back of the neck, the inner thighs, even the feelings, are left untouched and unexplored. But as we age, those pathways that once lit up so easily don't always fire the same way. Circulation slows, nerve endings may dull, sensation shifts. And when all our attention stays locked on one place, we miss the chance to discover the deeper layers of pleasure that growing older can actually unlock. If we're willing to listen, the body has a lot to teach us. Walter started experimenting with slow, gentle touch, not just below the belt, but across his whole body. He learned to build sensation gradually and to breathe with his arousal, rather than rushing toward the finish line. He even tried gentle prostate massage, and was surprised by how much sensation he'd never accessed before. Within a month, he told me he didn't just feel more pleasure, he felt more alive. Like his body was reconnecting in ways he never thought possible. This is about expanding your map, not giving up what you know, but adding to it. Discovering that pleasure isn't always about intensity. Sometimes, it's about presence, softness, and slowness. And in that shift, many men find a new sense of youth, not through force, but through awareness. So now we've covered the 5 silent mistakes. But the big question remains, what does real change look like? How do you take this knowledge and turn it into something that transforms your health, your energy, your confidence? In the final part of this video, I'm going to show you exactly that, step by step. Starting with one practice I teach every man over 65 who walks into my clinic. You won't want to miss it. Because there's one belief I've seen hold more men back than anything else, and that's thinking it's too late. Too late to change habits. Too late to feel real pleasure again. Too late to heal what's been quietly hurting for years. And I understand that feeling. When you've lived a certain way for decades, using the same patterns, responding the same way, it's easy to believe your body can't adapt, that you've somehow missed your chance. But let me tell you the truth I've seen again and again, in my patients, and even in my own journey as a man growing older, it's never too late to reconnect with yourself. You've already learned a lot just by being here. You now know that using too much pressure can dull the nerves, leaving you numb instead of truly satisfied. That leaning on the same mental loop again and again can drain desire, leaving your brain craving new experiences. That when you act out of loneliness or anxiety instead of genuine desire, pleasure becomes a mask, not a gift. You understand now that your body, your hormones, your nervous system all need time to recover, to rest, to rebuild. And maybe, for the first time, you've heard that your pleasure doesn't have to start and end with your penis, that your whole body is made for intimacy, sensation, and emotional connection. These aren't just tips, they're reminders. Your sexual health is still alive. You are still a man with desires, with power, with the ability to grow, no matter your age. The most meaningful changes I've seen didn't come from men trying to fix themselves, but from those who finally gave themselves permission to feel again, to slow down, to be curious, to touch themselves not with urgency, but with kindness. I've had men in their late 70s come back to me with tears in their eyes, not out of shame, but because they felt something real for the first time in years. Not just in their bodies, but in their hearts. A sense of dignity. A return of trust. A quiet, steady kind of pride. So here's what I want you to take away. This isn't about stopping something. It's about evolving it. Your body may be older, but it still responds to attention, respect, and care. You're not broken. You're just overdue for a different approach, one that matches the man you are now, not the boy you used to be. And that man deserves to feel fully alive again. If any part of this message spoke to you, I invite you to take a moment and let me know. Click like if you found value here, and share this video with a friend, a brother, or anyone you care about who might need to hear it. These conversations are still too rare, and your share could be the reason another man finally feels seen, understood, and hopeful again. I also want to hear from you directly. Drop a comment below and tell me what part of this message hit home the most. Or what questions you still have. I read every single one. This is more than a video. It's a community of men ready to take back their health, one honest conversation at a time. So hit like, share it forward, and let your voice be part of something real. You're not alone on this journey.